used his dynamism in defence, his attack, and that carrying all the more crucial with Sean O'Brien out injured.
Brian O'Driscoll, of course, today is not all about him, as indeed he wasn't in Paris for the national team a few weeks ago, but he is a very special player on the verge of saying goodbye. So to Johnny Wilkinson, and here come Toulon. It is a ludicrously talented squad that Toulon have managed to assemble. They are the lottery winner who just can't stop spending. But as last season proved, the spending has been much more focused of late, buying into the culture.
The big man, as well as the big names, has a leading role to play today. Mathieu Bastareaud divides opinion in World Rugby, but on a good day he can do very bad things to the opposition. He's caused Brian O'Driscoll much pain in the past, and he looms as a major threat to Leinster's aspirations.
Buying into the culture just as much as the club has bought into them. The Pilu Pilu. You don't become European champions just because of the checkbook. We saw that last season. You often hear it said that today, whilst it feels like a cup final, but that statement is true today. This does feel like a cup final. And referee Wayne Barnes, who was in charge of the all-French final in 2010, the one in the last 5 years that neither of these two took part in, gets us underway. One of the giant names of Heineken Cup rugby has to go today. The last semi-final place to be decided here at the Stade Félix Mayel, named after a man who used to pack them into the concert halls of Paris nearly a century ago. Well, this is showtime now for rugby's European showpiece. What a match we have in store here.
Beyond 50.
Burden throws. Leinster hands in, and they need to quieten this crowd. Up goes Dylan Armitage, that's gone forward, has it? No. Hands in from Dave Carney. The crucial ones there. Wilkinson, Danny Rousseau. Johnny Wilkinson again. Joan Smith, Toulouse board, there's some space, Bastareaud. This is the point about quietening the crowd. It is a ferocious start from the home team as Burden took it in. But the burden clearly on the shoulders of Leinster here, and their defence, they've got to show a strong shoulder against Joan Smith. Jennings just getting back there. Advantage played, Tillis board, Shockey, and Tone adjusted enough. And you can see the reaction there of Stephen Armitage. Toulon wanted a whole lot more than just a three-point shot.
I have to think it all stems from the first line out of the game. Toulon lose the ball to Leinster. Brilliant line out, but Jimmy Gopper's kick didn't have enough distance. It's a lucky bounce back, but with the lucky break, Toulon maximise it all the way towards the try line. Great power from all angles. We see Bastareaud there, Joan Smith there, playing very flat off Wilkinson. Smith almost through, he slipped there. And I think in the end, Leinster will settle for 3 points. In fact, I'm certain after that start, they'll settle for 3 points.
Okay. Okay, so you're saying after?
After the...
Okay.
Thank you.
So here's Wilkinson. Who handed out that lesson to Owen Farrell at Twickenham in last season's semi-final. The man who's taken over his mantle so impressively for the England team. "34 years of age, but still doing that, time and time again." Bernie Michalak, looking on, appreciates the solid start from Wilkinson's boot.
Well, a year ago, Leicester's scrum had Toulon under real pressure in the quarter-final here, and that man Wilkinson put on one of the great displays of goal kicking from all angles to repel Leicester. A good start.
He was 17 from 17, I think, in the knockout stages last season. Leading point scorer this season in the pool stages. Jimmy Gopperth got a few to his name, and that's his first Gary Owen, and Rob Carney thought he'd got that. Tiller-Sport, Dylan Armitage, who scored a try in that final. That's bounced up nicely. Ooh. The power of the man. What a weapon Toulon have in Bastareaud, but also the likes of Stefan Armitage too can do exactly that. He's been lost forward, but the power factor already in clear evidence to it.
Yeah, very interesting there what Toulon were trying to do. Playing around the side of the maul, Wilkinson changing the direction there. That's interesting because O'Driscoll rushed from outside centre. He thought it wasn't a great pass and he got lured into it. And Bastareaud, he's seeing a little bit too much ball too early. But from the ensuing attack, it was interesting in the way Wilkinson pops that back. That's not paddock cake, off-the-cuff stuff. Gitto's come in late. It's a ploy that Leinster have used magisterially over the last few years. And Toulon are trying to attack Leinster, either side of that breakdown.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Two massive packs. Toulon just shading it on the scales. How will it be used? Brian Habana tore a thigh muscle in round 3 and made his return to the matchday squad last weekend with perfect timing.
Well, this scrum is fascinating. Toulon do have the weight advantage, but Ireland tend to go for the excellent technical skills, and they leave Cronin on the bench. Leinster, they've gone Rickard Strauss, who's behind Cronin in Ireland pecking order, but because he's such a good scrummager, he starts, Cronin comes on with a heavyweight pack. It's very similar to the Rory Best scenario, and there you can see Leinster get the first nudge on the scrum.
Good work by the Leinster pack, and especially that front row. Healy didn't risk the ankle problem last week, even though it was Munster. As I said, Leinster looking to book another meeting with their rival in Dublin in the semi-final. Quick hands required, and then quickly onto the boot of Matt Gitto, who's done so well since he came here. After an initial period of settling in, there is a man who really has bought into what's happening. Jimmy Gopperth. Of course, this a massive no Sexton moment for Leinster, and they've gone with Gopperth, not Madigan.
Well, you're going to see Jimmy Gopperth staying in his own 22 a lot, because here's a tactic twice already. Gopperth is bombing it up on Drew Mitchell, and Rob Carney, such a fine player in the air, is going after that ball, and Gopperth is dropping back for the kicking battle, but they're trying to get Carney's aerial skills into the game against Drew Mitchell at the moment.
Here's a man who's settling quickly this season. Craig Burden was signed when Sebastian Bruno had the neck injury. It's Toulon ball, but it's slow ball. And Leinster won't particularly mind that. Tiller-Sport. who's taking control here. Carney couldn't get there in the end.
No touch, no touch.
Well, Rob Carney actually lost his bearings there, and he actually ran himself straight at Carl Heyman, trying to get a penalty. Watch, he's lost it there. He's thrown himself at Heyman there and gone down. Wayne Barnes does not fall for that. It's a very good kick from Tillisboard off slow ball. Some excellent box kicking so far from the Toulouse 9 and the Leinster 10.
It's a little bit unsung Tillisboard. It goes alongside Wilkinson. International player in his own right, of course, with France. And there he is after that steal from Burden. Oh, look at that carry. Talk about the big carries, must mention that man, Dani Rousseau, in the second row for this match. Oh, that's a lovely line, but it's beautifully read by Carney, who got in, and just as well for Leinster that he did, because there was a clear overlap. Smith had got involved again. Referee's going for the first knock-on. That was close. That was the closest score yet for Leinster.
Well, I don't even know if technically it's an overlap. I think he's the last man. He is. I mean, that's a 3 or nothing, isn't it? That's brilliant timing from Carney. If we've seen Brian O'Driscoll come out of the line hastily, that is superb there from Rob Carney. That is a try-saving intervention for Leinster.
He did make the high ball when he ran into Heyman, but he certainly made that, and he had to. No option, and again, Carney delivers in the no-option scenario.
It's interesting there, full-back on full-back. Dylan Armitage, such a ferocious character. Flair on every count, that man, Armitage. How he plays, how his temper goes.
Of course, with Lee Halfpenny arriving at the club next season, James O'Connor too. Will concentrate the mind.
Yeah.
Early points, early territory, all with Toulon.
But you know, when you can come to somewhere like this, such a hostile atmosphere, the home team, with all the power they have at their disposal, will have periods of play where they dominate territorially. And for Leinster, they've just got to ride them and just stay in the game and hang on. It's something they learned, I think, from Munster through this tournament. Just stay in the game. Now Leinster are in a similar situation with the home French team coming hard at them. They have got to just hang on for this period.
It's the point that Richard Cockrell was making after the game. He knew when the game was lost. And he went to 16-0, and here goes Stefan Armitage off the base of the scrum. He was played open side before, played 6 before, but being used as this battering ram off the back. Joe Suter. Burden really heavily involved early on, but that's a good reply from McCarthy, amongst others, and he's taking more than one to stop Toulon here. And look at the hands. Tillisboard. It is a breathtaking start. It just doesn't have the try to show for it, and it still doesn't, as Leinster get the chance to clear and breathe a huge sigh of relief. Dylan Armitage goes back. He's got Wilkinson with him, but he's not got time to find his captain. But he's got a very good boot himself, of course, the former England fullback.
Well, that's the first siege of the game, and it's lifted Wilkinson. Beautiful pass to Joanne Smith, and you're thinking it has to happen soon, but the scramble defence of the men in blue was brilliant. And O'Driscoll hacks the ball away, and the 3-man chase was outstanding. It didn't give Armitage any chance to do anything other than just clear the line in his own half. So Leinster withstand the first major assault.
Brian O'Driscoll made many a slashing run in Leinster colours, but that time just a simple hoof upfield meant just as much. As Leinster continue to hang on a bit here, even though we've only played 11 minutes of the match, it is all coming their way. It is a ferocious start from the champions, who are unbeaten at home in their Heineken Cup history. Short history, but enough matches to suggest that this is a very difficult place to come. Not quite into the Clermont Auvergne figures, but it's still a tough task. Fergus McFadden, great feat there. to get himself away. And he's keeping going, might as well, until he runs into Matt Gitto when he's got no chance. Here's Heaslip, he's seen that it's on, chance to move. O'Driscoll kept it going, Goppert as well, now it's Dave Carney. Redden to Brian O'Driscoll, little chip over the top. And he's hunting down Dylan Armitage. Might have just speared himself there, O'Driscoll. He's been judged to be high to tackle. That was the signal from Wayne Barnes. A little bit of help from his assistant, Luke Pearce, as well. Brian O'Driscoll argues the case.
Hot day, he's fired up. Seen it before from Brian O'Driscoll. He's a great competitor. There was a penalty there. There was no intent. One of O'Driscoll's most famous adversaries on the field for Toulon today. That epic second test in Pretoria for the Lions in 2009. Who will forget Danny Rousseau came off the bench for the box and Wilkinson hit him with everything he had. Rousseau was off, O'Driscoll was off, but it just showed the commitment of the man. And Rousseau's important today because with Williams and Borter out, Leinster would think they might just get a nudge in the line-out and the scrum, but both he and Joseph Suter have started really well for the home team.
Bakis Botha fractured his arm back in January against Brive. Ali Williams, he's out with a bicep injury. It's Toulon flexing their muscle here, but that's excellent from Shane Jennings. Experienced little touch that. And O'Driscoll looks to show his experience again. Chipping into space, Drew Mitchell's gone across. He reads the game so well, the Wallaby international. He's going to come straight back towards him. Rob Kearney's offloaded already, and he's given it to Cian Healy. And for the first time in the match, on the back of that O'Driscoll run on this side of the pitch, Leinster have got themselves going now. And into the Toulon 22. It is Owen Reddin and Gordon Darcy. So often overshadowed, I suppose, by Brian O'Driscoll, his famous partner, but nobody's played more times in Leinster colours than Gordon Darcy and Jamie Heaslip, the captain. In goes Fernandez Lobbe, referee holds out the arms. Both ways, play on. Quite a contest, isn't it, at that breakdown. Tiersport to Wilkinson. And he's just put enough on it.
Terrific kick from Wilkinson and a terrific turnover from Toulon there. Leinster salvaged themselves on their own line. Toulon under pressure there. They had to get that turnover and they did it really well.
Well, Dylan Armitage has stayed down. Thought he was initially trying to avoid the pass, but no, he's in trouble. So too McFadden, who pulled up awkwardly there as the ball went over his head and into touch. So both sides got a man down here.
So Lobbe involved there, winning that ball. Reddin just doesn't have the strength there. You can see Rickard Strauss coming in from the side, hitting him very hard there. Technically, you cannot come in and thunder into someone, and you can't from the side.
Dylan Armitage is back and will need to be here as it goes in his direction. He's coming forward, but Dave Carney had a chance to take it and didn't. It's Matt Gitto. McFadden's tried to get back on, he has. I think he's, of the two injuries, McFadden and Dylan Armitage, they're much more worrying because saw it when it happened at the time and it looked like something had gone somewhere in the leg, and he's still receiving treatment. He'll get a chance because Toulon have another chance for a Wilkinson kick.
Well, Wilkinson has a chance to make it 6-0 now, but there's no doubt at all Matt O'Connor's team have clearly identified Drew Mitchell as a weakness, because they're going to that wing, and what Toulon have done now, they've shifted Armitage. He's come there to take the pressure off him. Great contest there, both Dave Carney and Dylan Armitage going for that ball. Very controversial 4th-minute incident at Ravenhill yesterday. Nothing wrong with that one, just great contest.
And Zane Kirshner is about to come on. We're hearing that it is a blood injury for Fergus McFadden, and he's just shown that to the 4th official. Just wanted to verify that fact, and saying Kirshner will come on after the kick. Wilkinson reasonably long way out, but it doesn't normally worry him, and it doesn't worry him again.
Well, that's the box between the halfway line and the 10-metre line, the 15 and the 5, where he did extraordinary damage to Leicester. Just kicked goal after goal. You said in the knockout, Miles, he got 17 out of 17 last year. But this game here against Leicester, long range, time after time, it was extraordinary. And Leinster must beware, because he's had a week off and he's got the sharpshooter's hat on.
Like he always does, he was on the ground at 8 o'clock this morning, practicing away. Shudder to think how many hours that he has spent aiming a rugby ball at a set of posts. Kirshner is on. Remember, Leinster already lost Luke Fitzgerald, who felt a twinge in the gym before the squad left for France, so he pulled out of the 23. It's not convincing at all there from Suter.
Not on into his own players.
Yeah, that's where you fancy Ali Williams perhaps would have made a better job. Joseph Suter, the geography was all wrong and he was going backwards, and he just patted that ball forward. He's never in a situation to catch this. There you can see just everything wrong about that. There's no lifters there. Leinster get a soft attacking position. At some stage, Jamie Heaslip would like to have a trundle in the direction of Wilkinson and Giteau, but you know, we talk about Wilkinson's defence. Giteau, we've already seen, he's a hard man. He's not tall, but he packs a punch in the tackle too.
Yeah, we've already seen that, haven't we? Owen Reddin to put in. Penalty at the scrum. Confirms the good start that Leinster have made in this department, key department of the game.
One for Mike Ross there. Ross has had a fabulous season. People thought he might have been coming to the end of his days, but again, protocol change. He has just been so good, along with Cian Healy. They've been tremendous. And there you can see Chocky is the man penalised. One free kick for Leinster, one penalty from the scrum. It's important.
People use the word dependable with Mike Ross, and sometimes you can think that it might be damning with faint praise. No, well, it's not. He is wonderfully dependable in such a key area at tight head, time and time again, week in, week out. He's done it with Munster, he's done it with Quins, and now, of course, in Leinster colours.
It's the right word for tight head as well, because he's not trying to smash the loose head. He's trying to give his half-backs a platform, and it's number 8 from which they can play, and he's doing that really well. It's up to Healy to do the destroying today.
Exactly what you want from your 3. Jimmy Gopperth wants 3 here. 3 points to get Leinster going, and on the board. Confident strike from Gopperth. He was man of the match, if you remember, in rounds 1 and 2. And he's had an excellent tournament. It's been a tight call because Ian Madigan played so well last weekend and has bounced back to some top form. But Gopperth has been trusted with the number 10 jersey and the kicking duties, of course, so importantly. And that's a good start from him.
The amount of high balls and the diagonal bombs, I think it tells you what the game plan is and why Gopperth just won the nod.
Heaslip does get himself detached there from the orders of the referee. And from Reddin.
Backwards off blue.
McCarthy first to react. Reddin again.
On forwards.
Gopperth trying both sides. Armitage. His eyes were lighting up at the space in front of him. He had so much time, he knew it. Could afford to make the error and still make an awful lot of ground. Giteau, so happy to slip into that number 10 role.
Regathered.
Burden got it back. Tiersport. Giteau again. Once more, the first receiver. Not too much protection for the half back there. Tiersport does well, reflecting his excellent start to the match. Wilkinson. This is Drew Mitchell. Tackle from Brian O'Driscoll. Up goes Smith. Scored 3 tries in the competition this season, David Smith. Oh, and Gitto might be about to create one here. Oh, he's flying away, is Matt Gitto. Men get back for Leinster, but this is a great position. If the ball is quick, it is pretty quick. But Leinster smother it. And McCarthy kicks, then looks to say, who's coming with me? He's certainly not got the pace to get there, but he's done well the second row. Initially with the kick and then charged upfield, and that fell for Heaslip, and had that stuck for Jamie Heaslip, and he knows it. It really could have opened up for Leinster. So they've survived another raid and nearly created something on the back of it again.
Half chances, one of them is going to be turned into a try sooner or later. Well, I saw there that 2 second rows did not equate with 1 world-class inside back. Devon Toner on the one side, McCarthy on the other, Gitto straight through them. In the end, Carney has to come back and make the tackle, but that was beautiful. Little show, and then Toulon are on the attack again, but as has happened a few times in the first quarter, they just lost control of the ball when they needed it. And here, this goes to hand. Well, Leinster had themselves a chance.
Chocky was not the right man to get it there on the attack, was he? There were other options, but I suppose he just found himself there.
You've got to look at what you're doing. If you've got your loose head 60 yards away and the opposition have got 2 or 3 men around him, it's a smart idea is not to give the ball to him, isn't it? You know, that was a policy there. Nothing wrong with kicking the ball when there's nothing on. And we'll see lots of that from Leinster today. But when it's right, we've seen them counter, and we've seen Armitage ready to go.
First meeting between these two in the Heineken Cup.
Ball's gone. Ball came away.
Gopeth. There's Dave Carney.
Ooh, brick wall.
Got a blow to the ribs in training. Kept him out last week. Got a blow to the ribs there. That's forward. But the first knock-on will give the ball to Toulon.
Call the penalty. The ball came out the back.
We've had a spate, haven't we, of knock-on by one team and then an immediate knock-on by the other, just to bring the halt to the flow of the game.
And your eight's got to control it as well. No, it wasn't.
Defensively, Toulon were really lined up there to Leinster, bringing the blindside wing in the shape of Dave Carney round. Gitto and Bastareaud were waiting for him. One big, one not as big, but they're a hell of a balance in attack, and they're a ferocious defensive pair as well.
The many great aspects to this game. I suppose one is the fact that both sides know, in their heart of hearts, they have to go as deep as they can to win it. Nothing can be left out there today. Dearsport, blindside chances here for Gitto again. He's becoming a real thorn. Down goes David Smith. But Gitto is starting to make use of this space that he's getting.
Nice to see a team really trying to exploit a 15-metre blindside. It seems to have been an art that's been forgotten in European rugby. But when you got someone with that acceleration of Gitto, give him the ball and let him go. Him and David Smith, it didn't quite happen that time, but that is a worry. Wayne Barnes, like an exotic bird, has his head at about 2 inches from the ground to make sure the feed is straight.
And one of your meds is being treated.
It was. I must say, Cian Healy on the near side there, he's very low at the moment. He's not making it easy for Carl Heyman.
I'll give you time once he stops.
I know these days it can be stats and more stats, but Toulon have been the best disciplined side in the competition. It might be relevant. Of course, that reflects the amount of pressure they put on the opposition and maybe the quality of their pool, but it does show that there is a lot of discipline in the squad, something that has been, or a charge that has been levelled at French teams in the past, or lack of it. Midfield and O'Driscoll. Now he's seen some space. That bounces kindly. Well, it doesn't, but it's still pressure on Dearsport. Drew Mitchell. O'Driscoll is almost rabid in his tackling. Got a knock in the face there as well, but he'll be happy when he gets up because he sees Leinster on the attack, and Cian Healy trying to chip through now. And the charge down. Now that will inspire those Leinster supporters on that far side. Wilkinson needs a rest because of it. O'Driscoll's down on this near side. The two men, one of them bowing out of European club rugby today. The latest to need the physios.
O'Driscoll, something in his eye, but I'm pretty certain he'll be back. It looks as if Zane Kirshner was staying out on the right wing. Leinster doing very well this time. They don't fumble the turnover. Cian Healy, not the ideal kick, but he's got so much pace. Wilkinson looks up, and there's a loose head prop throwing himself like a goalkeeper at that ball. And Wilkinson can't believe how little time he has, and he's in trouble there. Let's hope for his sake that's just a cramping moment in the heat. But you could see the look of anguish on his face when he struck that ball.
That's the face of Brian O'Driscoll, of course, and he's okay. Ian Madigan had stripped off, but you can put the tracksuit back on if he needs it today. It is a very warm day here in Toulon, and that will be a factor as O'Driscoll takes on a bit of water. It's a reasonably late kick-off. It's early in the year. It should cool down, but it's built up today, hasn't it? It's been around about 24, 25. That's summer temperatures for most.
I think that's significant. There's a huge roar for Wilkinson staying on, but you can see the right leg is strapped. It's not his kicking left leg, but it'll be a target now for Leinster. It did feel, I mean, it wasn't a contact, was it? It was not a contact. He seized up.
We're about to find out if he's cramping up or more. He's in position if required, but Tia's board has taken the temperature, not of the weather, but of the match there, and decided that it was not the wisest thing to do, even to Wilkinson.
But that's a pretty useless kick from Tia's board. He's made about half a metre and just handed the ball over to Leinster. The choice of the scrum half to kick was right. I think Wilkinson is struggling here. Knowing, you know, anyone who's seen this bloke over the years will know he's not going to go, but he's not looking great.
Now it's Maxime Mamo's turn to strip off touchline. Lord Skitto will go to 10. What a loss for Toulon there. Talisman, as he's become Johnny Wilkinson. Referee's taking them back for the penalty. This will be a chance to level here for Leinster.
So come back, collapsing number 5.
And it's gone against Suter for pulling down the line out.
Replacements.
Gopeth is definitely going to go for goal here. This is not a quarter-final. As Wilkinson leaves the field.
Might not be the end in the European Cup for Johnny Wilkinson, but it's up to his mates now to make sure that it is not. Maxime Mamoz comes on. Leinster go for goal. And the man who scored the Toulon points gets quite an ovation from both sets of fans.
It's a fascinating situation now, because Wilkinson's departure changes the entire way Toulon look at a game of rugby. Wilkinson, a tactical kicker, a brilliant goal kicker, probably still the best in the world when the choke pressure comes on. In goes Gitto. He plays flatter, he's quicker, he's a more dynamic runner, but he doesn't have Wilkinson's kicking game. Mermoz moves into the centre, and he's a very fine player as well.
And the captaincy goes to Juan Martin Fernandez-Love, although, as you've probably heard on the referee's microphone, he was doing a lot of acting captaincy while Wilkinson was on the field. Not to usurp, to complement man in the forwards. Here's Gopeth. Can't argue with that. The assistants had reasonably long look at each other. From our angle, and we're on halfway. Didn't look to be any doubt. And there's no doubt that Johnny Wilkinson has played his last in this match.
And no doubt at all, that's hamstring. Fergus McFadden, he hasn't come back. He went off for a blood injury, but it seems like it might have been blood on the hamstring, I think. But really sad for Johnny Wilkinson there. You just don't get the showdown you wanted with O'Driscoll. But that's rugby, that's life. Giteau moves in, still a very powerful team.
Just on that, to be fair, McFadden did show the injury to the fourth official.
But he's not stayed off for a blood injury.
No
Oh!
advantage, knock on in the air, scrummage red.
Mistake from Dylan Armitage. Way overhit.
Just prone to them sometimes, Dylan Armitage. Does some brilliant things and then just loose errors there, and that will frustrate the Toulon pack. Kirshner, who's now staying on, that's very interesting, because with Gopperth's kicking game, Kirshner, one of his great strengths as a Springbok fullback was his chasing of the high ball. They've now got, in Carney, and Kirshner, three very fine chasers of the high ball.
And that knock-on from Kirshner before the mistake from Armitage means that Toulon will put into this latest scrum inside the final 10 minutes of this first half. So tight. Wasn't initially, it was all Toulon, but Leinster, as they've learned to do in this competition, champion quality. You're away from home, is to weather that storm, especially early on. They knew it was coming. Trying to drive over that, putting all sorts of pressure on the Toulon pack, and here comes Kirshner. Oh, that will really frustrate Gopperth, because it was a great chance. Both sides are, and what is a lovely day, showing that the hands are not at their best, but sometimes it's the pressure, isn't it, that's out there that leads to that sort of frailty.
Well, on the subject of pressure, I think the most significant thing in the first half hour has been the scrum, where Leinster have got the heat on Toulon at the moment, and if they can maintain that, and they've weathered a hard 15 minutes, I think they're in a pretty good position, especially with an all-island bench to come on a hot afternoon. I think that's a worry for Toulon, this scrummage situation.
Well, it's not a worry here.
They've just come offside, haven't they?
Just broken the offside line, and Jamie Heaslip not just be frustrated about that, he'll be pretty annoyed.
Matt Giteau takes over, not just as fly-half goal kicker. He was warming up in the eventuality of Wilkinson getting injured. He kicked beautifully in the warm-up, but a warm-up and a quarter-final of the Heineken Cup are two different things. But this guy, he's been around the block and he's a world-class rugby player.
Well, there's only two Wallabies who've kicked more points than Matt Giteau. Michael Leinster and Matt Burke, 92 caps, and a fair few of those. He was the front-line kicker, and he's kicking here from halfway.
It's a long way, but it's a fantastic surface. Walk the pitch beforehand. It's a goal kicker's dream, because your non-kicking foot ain't going to move anywhere.
Well, we saw with Wilkinson's how measured he could afford to be. Totally trusted the atmosphere above, the surface below, but Giteau, a bit of a snatch there from the man that's taken over the duties.
Well, he's many things, Matt Giteau, but he is not as good a goal kicker as Johnny Wilkinson, and that's just a plain fact of life. And so from that point of view, it does enable Leinster, maybe from 45 metres or so, if they have to sometimes just transgress, safe in the knowledge it might not be an automatic 3 points.
Okay, now, fellas, let's go. Be on the ball.
Show that he could get the distance. Here he is again. And that's wobbling. The Carney is not, and that from Carney is world class. Not the service though to Gordon Darcy. Both sides are just holding themselves back a little bit with these errors when they get themselves going.
What happened there after this piece of sheer brilliance from Carney? Rickard Strauss comes into his eye line and he throws the ball between the two. There you can see the hooker's just come in field. He's not certain whether he's going for Darcy or Strauss. Strauss has come into his line of vision and he's ended up just popping a ball to no one in particular. But you're quite right, too many passing errors.
Throw from Craig Burden. He's now all strapped up himself. The first half has taken its toll. McFadden gone, Wilkinson gone. Tearsport to Armitage. Oh, Danny Rousseau, who started a game like this, rampaging away. Gopper's done well to get back, but it's a great target ball. And Drew Mitchell tries to hit that target. Fernandez Lobby has come to this side to take over Mitchell's position, but Bassero only has thoughts for going forward. The tank that he is, but it wasn't the right call, not that time. Just an opportunity maybe for Toulon to stretch Leinster, having got in behind the defence. Well, if you stay tight against Leinster, they'll do what Ireland did in the Six Nations and they will choke you. But this moment, Jennings juddered as Rousseau bounced him off the ground. He is one hell of a carrier, Danny Rousseau. An outstanding back row forward who's a good second row. But you stay in field here. Leinster, with Heaslip organising it, are quite brilliant at holding the ball up. And look at the work there, again, of Cian Healy. We gave him a build-up before this game, but he's playing very well, you know. Well, two modern greats there. Talk it through. Rousseau, yes, back row player, but did play 23 times for South Africa in the second row. Oh, he's a test player, Miles, at second row and back row. It's a fantastic man to have in your squad. Oh, Mike Ross come right out of that scrum. Referee deciding that as the ball had come flying back, as Ross had gone flying up, it was time to keep the game moving. Just explains that to Toulon again. Clean strike here. Look at that. That's a hook there. You don't see that very often from Rick Hart-Strauss. I'm pretty certain. Yep, clean hook. And it's just as well, because when the foot went up, Toulon actually went for the scrum and Redden was under some pressure. Well, somebody's got something else on their mind.
Thank you. No, it's great. No, they're going to come.
Might be the only one in the stadium.
Eyes were open, didn't want to miss any of the action. Might be the only one drinking milk in the stadium.
Here's Burden. Joanne Smith and Rousseau again. Two giant Springboks. Giteau, Bastero's lurking. Penalty Leinster. Great defence, great commitment.
It's almost as if Leinster, when they get in their own 22, up the intensity. Whether it's getting the choke turnover, making the big hit, they're just rattling Toulon there, and Toulon have had an awful lot of territory, but 6-all, it's got to please Leinster after this start to the game.
Right on the line, yeah. Thanks, man.
Not Rob Kearney's best kick, but it got there.
Jimmy Gopper grabbed the leg there of Matt Giteau, didn't he, and just threw him away there. It wasn't a great kick, was it?
10 metres.
About the one area that wasn't covered by Toulon. Here's Strauss, and it's all the hurly-burly. We should not forget about his story this season. What a good news story it is after that heart condition, to come back so early and to be part of this. On the Leinster line, here's Dave Kearney. Might have heard his cry of frustration when his brother couldn't locate Gordon Darcy a few minutes ago. And Strauss got a little bit in the way. Here's Heaslip finding that Joanne Smith is in his way. Devon Toner.
That's the Leinster classic, but that one wasn't classic in its execution.
They rather choked themselves there, and it's been turned over. Here's Ramos, has really got into the game since he came on for Wilkinson. He might get into it now, though. He is carrying superbly. Tearsport just before half-time, and Burden, who's been on fire in this first half, does it again. But it doesn't come back away Barnes. A little bit like what happened at the end of the game, Clermont versus Leicester yesterday in another bear pit of an atmosphere. Goes with the defending side.
Love our French broadcast colleagues to show how many times Toulon have been penalised, turned over in their 22. That was an opportunity, and it has to be said, Burden went straight through Brian O'Driscoll. Missed the tackle badly, and it was very good attacking ball for Toulon, but O'Driscoll's 14 mates gathered round, and they bailed him out of a situation there. And you could see Moss coming into the game, lovely feet, classy player. And if we get through to the next replay, Hooker picking a super line, Brian O'Driscoll, that's really a poor tackle. Good line though, isn't it?
How well is Burden playing, and what a good signing he's proving to be. The former Shark, he's been to the final of the Currie Cup, he's been to the final of Super Rugby 2 years ago. Can he get to the final? Can Toulon get to another final consecutive in the Heineken Cup? It's finally poised. Who wants to get this off the field? A bit of a psychological game maybe about to emerge. Toulon, as the home side, simply have to keep on going, even inside their own half, and they have a chance again to create a gap. And Burden was going through once more there. It's a knock-on, and that will end the first half. We have the anthems, Irish and French, about 15 minutes before kick-off, and this, Stuart, has felt like a test match.
A test match with too many errors. I think Toulon will be disappointed not to be in the lead after the first 15 minutes. Leinster will be pleased that their scrum is going well. Wilkinson's injury changes the nature of the game. Both have
better opportunity than this. A home semi-final awaits the winner. Back up to the commentary box with Stuart and Miles.
Thanks, James. And of course, Fergus McFadden had to limp out of the game as well for Leinster. He's been replaced by Zane Kirshner, who will actually operate in his second half without a number on his back. Fifth semi-final in 6 years if Leinster can make it there. And of course it will be played in Dublin against Munster. And their body language, we're talking Stuart at half-time, has been superb in this first half. Even when the heat was on in the face of adversity, they look like a side that believe they can go on and win this match. Of course they should, given the experience within the squad, but they're sending out the right signals.
Well, you're not triple champions of Europe just by playing fancy down rugby all the time. You have to dig in deep. We've seen it in semi-finals in Bordeaux against Clermont. We've seen it in a quarter-final here. They have to find a little more accuracy of their game. They haven't got that at the moment, but they're standing up to the physical assault so far.
Take from Devon Turner at the line-out. His captain, Jamie Heaslip. Gopperth, O'Driscoll. Shane Jennings, again the link man. Danger of holding on to that. And that is the call. Crowd have got there just before the referee, who took an extra second to think about it.
Chocky has just come up with a fantastic turnover. Xavier Chocky for Luso. We talked about Cian Healy and what he can do for Leinster in that area where they miss Sean O'Brien so much. Chocky has just come up with an absolute beauty there. He was so fast onto the ground. One of the shortest men in the Toulon team. And he just got down there quickly. Look at that. Great balance, great strength, super technique.
And Brian O'Driscoll knew exactly what was happening. Cian Healy didn't have time to sort it out.
Got there quickly, battle of the loose heads. That's one for Chocky. Healy could not budge him. Brilliant play.
Might be a dead leg as well for Chocky after Healy went into him. Man who came through the Toulon Academy, so one of the local boys. Here's Matt Giteau, imported.
It's almost the same kick as the one he missed.
Yep. Very similar distance. He's adjusted this time though. And adjusted very well indeed. And that first score in the second half goes to the champions. Scored by Giteau, but won by Chocky. Good settling kick for Toulon as well in the absence of Wilkinson. Giteau, having missed his first, didn't want to miss another. In from that range, that was always going to be difficult for Tiersport, and he never made it. And Reddin, his opposite number. There's a call on that far side from Darcy. And Dave Carney, now, of course, an international like his brother. Carry from McCarthy, Gopeth, here comes Healy, but it's that drop ball again. And Stefan Armitage has got a big boot on that. And Rob Carney, well, he'll hear the crowd, he knows that Armitage is after him. And he gets rid of it in the end, but Armitage got him. Put him into the advertising boards. Power play in a different sort of way there from the former England man.
Passing not good enough there, it's behind Cian Healy, that's why it goes forward. What is good enough is Stefan Armitage's tackle there. The timing is perfect. It's pretty good play from Rob Carney, but he knew he was opened up to Armitage, and he took it well, didn't he? Just bounced back up. Don't let him know if you're hurting.
Could be a swing moment, that. And Leinster will know it, so it's to draw on their reserves in defence here as Giteau makes a little half break there with Dylan Armitage, Stefan's brother. David Smith. Craig Burton, oh, he's through there! Turner couldn't take him, and Burton goes on, not for the first time in this match. He's set it up again, the hooker. In comes Giteau, Giteau tries to get underneath the tackle. Tiersport, it's all going mad here now. And Leinster being pushed really hard here. Just listen to the crowd. Wayne Barnes gets a very good look. Carl Heyman can see the line, and then he couldn't. Bastereau is going to take over.
Advantage offside.
There's going to be a penalty. Right at the start of the game, Toulon profited from a very similar situation, but they were disappointed to the point of angry that they didn't get the try. And Suter tries here, and everybody has come this side. There's nothing to the right, really. Leinster know it. The cards are on the table, and Toulon played them well. It is a Herculean rugby clash, this. And Toulon have just got their muscles out. Chocky, the man, who in a funny sort of way might have started it all with the turnover a few minutes ago.
Well, the other man I'd identified, the source of that try has to be Devon Toner. He misses Craig Burden. Burden gets within 10 metres of the line. They're always on the back feet. Time after time, they've got the big men running. Shane was saying at half-time, the first up tackles can't be slipped off. We've seen O'Driscoll miss Burden. We saw Toner miss Burden. Got away with it in the first half. You can't keep getting away with it. And now they have a very useful lead. Great start to the second half for the European champions.
Giteau has to be the calmest man in the stadium. And he is. Hard to be calm at the moment, given the noise, given the vision. And the vision from Burden today, you say, Stuart, has been absolutely top class. Yeah,
top class from Burden, but it's not top class the defence from Devon Toner there. And, you know, you've seen Armitage going, you've seen Bastereau going. Xavier Chocky comes, he says, I'll have a go as well. Low to the ground. Great turnover by being that low-slung sort of squirreler. He's over the try line for a deserved score.
Suddenly it's 10 points. They're all level at half-time. Jennings, Healy. Leinster must keep their body language and keep those bodies going forward and try and reply straight away. Toner knows that he owes one here. Reese Rudder. Ricard Strauss. But power now in defence from Toulon. They've been boosted by that try, of course they have, and so too their supporters. Reddin looks to the referee, but uses the boot to make sure that he keeps the move going, but McCarthy's going backwards. Dave Carney Gopeth and Darcy, chance to go forwards, not long though. As Bastereau steps in, Darcy somehow manages to hold on to the ball. Strauss hits the ruck, and that was key. But it doesn't come back again. And once more, pressure at the breakdown from the champions.
Once more, line speed causes that pressure at the breakdown. Leinster just going backwards there. This is a very good 8-9 minutes or so for the champions. Manhandled, Leinster there. And I think Matt O'Connor in the next minute or so is going to have to start looking at his bench, 10-point down. They've got a very strong bench, Leinster. They've got an all-international front row of Cronin, McGrath and Moore who can make a change. Murphy's dynamic, but I think the key could well be the fly half. Do they keep kicking behind them with Gopeth, who have had no joy, or do they go even flatter with Madigan? Get flat and use the line speed of Toulon against them defensively. That's the big issue, I think, now for Matt O'Connor.
Leinster players shielding their eyes from the sun as they look towards Toulon. Set themselves again. Pierre Mignoni along with Jacques Delmas. Of course, key at the moment with Bernard Laporte being suspended. But the ban was increased, wasn't it? President Mourad Boudjelal took to writing to President Hollande. I'm not sure what he was going to do about a ban for Bernard Laporte, but Laporte is here because it's being appealed, and I saw him moments ago on the gantry. But not pitch side, and that's not in the corner. And it will eventually be Goppers. He's got to stay cool, and does.
Hold forwards, hold forwards.
Tiersport and Dylan Armitage. That's a good ball. Drew Mitchell loves those, and he takes on Dave Carney. Oh, he's come storming inside there, Mitchell. Didn't he cover the ground unbelievably quickly? Leinster were going as fast as they could. They couldn't stay with him. It's a knock-on, and Leinster needed it. Boy, did they need it.
Armitage's pass is an absolute beauty off the left hand. He's saying to Drew Mitchell, come on to that, and Mitchell loves an opportunity. Game breaking up, and Toulon looking very dangerous. 10 points for down, half an hour to go. It's an eternity. 15 or 17 points down, and time really suddenly turns against you. O'Driscoll couldn't get to Mitchell. In the end, it's good, strong defending from the pack, help him out. But these are dangerous moments as Orioli goes for Burden, who's been very effective.
It's one of those with half an hour to go. You assume he must be injured because he's played so well. Jean-Charles Orioli. It goes so well for him the semi-final, you might remember. Last season had some issues.
Might just think Miles Orioli's a strong scrummager. Try and tighten the game. First scrum, it's a penalty.
Padis.
I think it was a free kick, wasn't it? So they're going for touch. No, it's straight arm now.
First one was a full penalty, second early drive.
Still the hands not right, the accuracy not as Leinster and O'Connor would love it to be. Even when Toulon are making the knock-ons at their best, you knock on, Leinster counter-attack and they kill you with that. But at the moment, every time they get a half opportunity, they knock it on themselves. It's still going on. They've got to find the accuracy. They've got to find some more ambition.
Might have heard Wayne Barnes there just explaining the escalation of the offence. It's not one to argue about though for the players now. And Sean Cronin now on for Leinster as their new impact hooker here.
Well, he'll do a Burden for the moment. He's a great carrier.
So too Heaslip, but not too much he could do there. Rhys Ruddock is back from this calf injury. Need to get his power going as well. There is Cronin. Penalty coming Leinster's way. Redden inside, might as well try, see what's possible. Dave Carney surrounded by Toulon players. Done really well there.
First one back there wasn't.
Big kick now for Jimmy Gopperth. 16-6, lots of time. It's within range. It's a hard kick for Gopperth, but he's been picked to turn these opportunities into 3 points. This goes over, there's 7 points in it. Leinster back in the game. Ruddock did very well initially, you know, he was going backwards and he just got himself a little bit of momentum. Just about the first time we've seen Owen Redden with one of those little inside flip balls that have been so effective. Toulon's defence has been good, and you talked about Bernard Laporte earlier. He has been a disciplinarian throughout his career as a coach, with France and here. And I think in key moments, it's still paying real dividends for the European champions.
You're right about the Redden pass, such a trademark of his game, of Leinster's game. I think we saw one, didn't we, in the first half? It didn't go to hand. Seen a few that have not got to hand from the scrum half. The traffic has been too congested. Fergus McFadden, all he can do is watch on and wish all the best to Jimmy Gopperth. He needs these, his side need these, and they don't arrive. Would have made it look, would have made it feel a whole lot better had that gone over from Jimmy Gopperth for Leinster.
Good from Ruddock again, isn't it?
Yeah, he's coming more and more into the game. Geordie Murphy is on now for Leinster. He's replaced Shane Jennings. Cian Healy on the floor.
That's twice
that's perfect for Gopperth.
The
Maybe just look up to the heavens there, the fly half. We didn't get a shot of him, but thank you very much. It puts the pressure on, I suppose, but he wants the chance to make up.
He had a sight of 5 metres further from the goal a minute ago. He was close. He was almost to the end of the arc of his range. This one is not. I'm not supporting body weight there. It's Lobe penalised, and I think he's right. Just not got the running game going at the moment. And we say that Leinster withstood the siege early on, and they did do that. But at some stage in this game, they've got to find their own offensive game.
And Jimmy Gopperth has got to find here the gap between those two uprights. This is a must. Not the stuffing out of Leinster, he doesn't get it. Give them a major boost if he does get it, and it was always there. Sheer delight from the supporters, knowing just how much those 3 points mean to the Leinster team, as Bernard Laporte watches from high.
And he'll be cursing the lack of discipline. It has been the hallmark of him as a coach through the years. And Gopperth punishes Toulon.
Talked about that discipline and how Toulon have shown it in this competition. But again, we're up a level here, all 4.
What's 9?
Redden. Stefan Armitage, good catch, over the shoulder. His brother there to help out. Gopperth in the shade of the stand, which will help, and he's called for the mark, which also helps.
Stefan Armitage is a very good footballer, isn't he? He just makes things like difficult catches seem so easy. He's really talented.
Fernandez Lobe, that's well played to keep that as just his and away from the crowd. Dylan Armitage really going for that. He needs a break on the ball, he's getting it, but Rob Carney applies the brakes just in time, and then with very little space to work with. He's done pretty well. I think he'll be disappointed when he turns around and sees where the assistant is, as he is, but it's still not bad from there.
Well, he was gunning to go straight down that 5 metre channel between the touchline and the 5-metre line. It wasn't a bad kick, he was under pressure. It was a brilliant kick from his opposite number, Dylan Armitage. Absolutely superb, and it made Carney scurry to get to that ball, because that could have been a horrendous situation otherwise. Good play from both fullbacks.
Remember how good he was in Bordeaux against Clermont in the semi-final. And that's the kind of level that Leinster have to hit again here as this game starts to draw towards a conclusion. Still plenty of time for either side to have the major say here, but it's Leinster chasing. And it's Rousseau combining with Armitage. Call from midfield was a strong one. Aurioli takes it first. Bastareaud wants it. He's just seen Armitage do that. He wants a piece of it. He's come over now to remonstrate with the referee. I don't like that one here.
Sean Cronin was borderline on the wrong side. And Toulon were furious. That was a consummate piece of play in the midfield. Danny Rousseau, superb. Well, there is a knock on there, and Cronin was not in the way. I just hope we see that little roll-round ball. Danny Rousseau has played superbly today. And again, the variety of Stefan Armitage. Here we go, the South African second row into two men, and he just pops it out of the tackle. And Armitage coming from deep. That's lovely midfield play.
As soon as the ball's in, not when it's set, remember.
5 caps for his country. Stefan Armitage debuted 5 years ago now. 28 years of age, he's in his rugby prime. Of course, this policy from England not to go to France unless they really, really have to. Ricard Strauss. Inside Shane Jennings there. Reduced to the ranks of the onlookers. Might be even tougher than playing for the players now who can't be out there to influence this.
Okay, just reset, just hit flat, make sure nice high bar. Hit flat, hit flat. Le deuxième, le deux, pardon. Yeah, of course. Use. Important. À gauche, un petit peu. Merci bien.
Boy, do Leinster need this scrum to hold now. They need to extricate themselves from this position. 16-9, well in the game. 19-9, long way to go with 20 minutes left.
Not sure what language Wayne Barnes should use when talking to Toulon. That's the language of the whistle.
Well, the law of the front row says Leinster are winning this particular subplot at the moment, but they're not winning enough others, but that keeps them alive. Toulon pinged for not driving straight, and often that just because they're under pressure, so they can't go straight, so they just try and cheat and step outside to stop the other team.
And Leinster changing that front row. It's going well, but fresh players required as we reach that midway point of the second half. Martin Moore is on. It's Mike Ross who goes then.
Watch stop, please.
Well, they are dynamic. They're experienced now. They're international players. You've got to trust them in this scenario.
And Toulon doing the same. So it's a new contest there with Florian Frisia coming on for try scorer Javier Choki.
Still plenty of time to go. Got to reiterate the fact that the Leinster pack, they've got another penalty.
That's one of the few occasions in the match that Redden's been able to take an armchair and just support his pack verbally. Here comes Kirshner. Yes, they have a penalty, but Leinster now getting within sight of that Toulon try line.
Advantage over now, so they've got to make this attack tell.
Here's Redden. Gopperth. Would have been a long old kick, but Leinster want the try. That's what the scoreboard demands, but it's turned over again. So aspects of the forward game going really well, but that breakdown and those turnovers still presenting a problem to Leinster. Now Mitchell's been hit. Didn't stay down for too long. I don't think he's trying to milk it.
No, absolutely fine there.
Danny, 4 or 5.
Redden's coming to him. It hurts, but it's a tough game. So as with Toulon in the first half, Leinster getting that 22, and the defensive scramble organisation is very good. The breakdown defence has definitely got it over the attacking one at the moment. Looks like Stephen Armitage there. I've seen that before.
Okay, what's his stopped?
He's movable, isn't he?
What's his stop, mate? I've got to make sure a man who's kind of flattered, but we're just going to get it. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I mean, where do you stand on the international situation?
Well, Armitage is probably the best English back row forward over a ball. He's dynamic, he's strong, he's in Toulon, and that counts against him a great deal. Does that give you some idea? I understand I'm tiptoeing along the fence a little bit there, Miles, but I think that's the reality of the situation.
There's Redden, he caught in possession there. Now the charge is on, and it's Armitage again. He might it up for him. Might go for Miles. He's got support as well. O'Driscoll's got a cross. That was so close. Nearly a try for Armitage. Still might be a try. Bastareaud looks. Bastareaud wants to go himself. Now he gets the pass out, but the chance. Oh, it's not gone. It's scored by Mitchell, just as well for Bastareaud, but then he'll say he drew them to him like bees to honey.
Well, it's sort of appropriate. It's come from a muddle. It's come from the hack through from the outstanding Stephen Armitage. And there was a big overlap, and Bastareaud did ignore it. But Bastareaud committed enough defenders for the power of Toulon one-on-one to make the difference. Ball goes backwards there. Redding can't control it. Danny Rousseau outstanding, gets his first foot to it. The pace of Stephen Armitage can't control the ball. But Maxime Mermoz, who's been very accomplished since he came on, very patient indeed there. Frisia does well, and then you think it has to be a try if they go wide. No, Bastareaud says it has to be a try if I run at them. Lovely footwork from Mitchell, stepped on the right, checked his man on the left. Classy stuff from the Wallaby.
Mitchell, in a way, got his centre out of a hole there. Leinster, well, they are in a hole now, and the newspapers have been thrown in the air. That's normally the signal here when the home crowd can scent victory.
14 points is a big margin. Missed tackles again, I'm afraid. Darcy couldn't hold Bastareaud, and then Darcy gets befuddled by the footwork of Drew Mitchell. Too many first-up tackles, but that comes from a line-out where a couple of stray boots, 60 metres gone, and that could be the game gone.
Gopper 3 starts. Drew Mitchell, 30 tries in his 63 caps for Australia. That's almost Habana-style ratio. And, oh, yeah, they've got Brian Habana on the bench. Whew. This now, about as big a task as it gets for the former champions Leinster to come back against Toulon, against this team, against the crowd, and Kirshner, another international star of the game, who's working hard to get a regular place in the team here, such as the strength of Leinster, but finding the strength of Toulon today a little bit too much. And here comes the anthem again.
Well, Danny Rousseau has been huge. I know that's a penalty, but that man has been a mountain. In the rucks, either side of the rucks, carrier, he has been phenomenal. He's made it look like it's good news that Backy's Borter is injured. That's how well he's played.
Well, there's weight of expectation there in the absence of Borter, in the absence of Williams, and Danny Rousseau has carried that second row department so admirably today. Bastareaud carrying a few on his back there, but Mitchell had previously called for it when a try was a certainty, but he went with him, And then he showed not just that intelligence, but the skill and that footwork that marked him out as a top international player during his 63 caps, and he made for the Wallabies.
Stop. So, yeah, of course. Just remember, you asked me to speed up the game. So if I
Owen
can,
Redding
when it's your match.
down at the moment.
Exactly.
Not out, not quite. Still think now 14 points behind. I think Matt O'Connor has to gamble a little bit. Jimmy Gopperth has kicked quite well, but he sits deeper than Madigan. As I said at the start of the second half, this Toulon line speed has been so all-encompassing. The only way I think Leinster could get the better of it is by actually going right into the teeth of the beast and using that speed against them. It's high risk, it could go wrong, it could be the match, but with 14 points down, I can't see anything other than high risk getting them back in it now.
And they're doing it all without Wilkinson. They might have to do more without Wilkinson. That will be a story that will be followed through as the days after this game pan out. Might not be very pleasant days for Leinster, as they have to reflect on defeat unless they can turn it very quickly now. Jack McGrath's onto the field. Off goes Cian Healy. Dice are being thrown. McGrath gets involved. Redding screaming at the referee, but he's not going his way. He's going Toulon's way. Breakdown. All the time going Toulon's way.
Straight on the ball.
Yeah, right now, scrum is the only part of the game where Leinster have any dominance at all. Toulon are just so strong at the breakdown, and they are organised, and the discipline's held really well in this second half.
The tea has been brought on, so it's an indicator. The man who brought the tea on.
What about Gitto's?
It's a kick a goal.
Lobbe's captain. He's furious because the tea has been brought on, which means a kick for goal is indicated. I don't think, well, Gitto knows he hasn't got the distance, so they've had to give it to Dylan Armitage. So will you have a go?
Well, the moral of the story is don't carry the kicking tea along with a bottle of water.
Yeah, well,
Fernandez Lobby is really giving it to the member of the support staff there. He's furious.
Tells a story, doesn't it? Leinster put in everything, every sinew into that breakdown. And they're just not moving the home team at the moment.
Well, Armitage has landed them from here before. He has a big boot. It is a bit hit and miss.
A lot hit and miss, but he can do it, you're right.
No, he certainly can. It would certainly help a member of the backroom staff if this goes over. It's not a bad effort. It is hit. Not miss, and that might be it. And what a way for it to come about. And this might not be the biggest capacity, but in moments like that, it just might be the biggest noise in European rugby. It's as if the whole of the city is here to witness these occasions, and one of their heroes is Dylan Armitage.
And the tactical mastermind, the water boy who brought the tea on. It was a boom moment there from Armitage. Couple of changes now. Toulon think 17 points up, it's done. Madigan has come on, but it might now be too late, especially as that has not gone 10. Leinster are rarely a team who look and play as if they're beaten, but right now they just look as if they've been manhandled out of this match.
Michael Claessens has come on, there he is. Former Bath captain, a new scrum half. We are a matter of metres away from Bernard Laporte, and he went potty after Armitage's kick went over. I think he knew. I think we all sort of know now that it's never right. Leinster totally out of the script, but even for Leinster, Moran Bourgeois, he doesn't look like he knows, still looks concerned. Rousseau goes, as you say, what a game he's had. Konstantin Mikhail-Tadze comes on.
Oh, Mitchell.
Mitchell to Armitage. Dylan Armitage. In many ways, there's absolutely no pressure on him apart from the poor bloke in the backroom staff who would have been feeling the heat. Didn't he just let it go? He had plenty on it. Leinster have a penalty. Jamie Heaslip and his team need to get on with this now as Martin Castrogiovanni prepares to enter the fray. The man who's level with Sergio Parisse at the top of Italy's most capped list.
Madigan finds touch, probably needed about 15-20 metres more. Clock stops as Heyman comes off. Regarding Castrogiovanni, saw his old team go out in France yesterday. Leicester sees his new team looking as if they're marching towards the semi-final. Leinster at the start of April, Munster at the end of April.
Leo Cullen, 36 years of age now, move into coaching at the end of his playing career.
Advantage. 8 has gained an advantage for being offside. 8 offside. You're offside. You're beyond the 15.
That's Stefan Armitage.
And he made the tackle. No.
He's certainly involved as he made the tackle. So
8 went beyond the 15
Madigan
and then made the tackle.
for the corner.
Lobbe was so clever there. He stopped
No, you're the 7.
Munster getting Leinster getting a quick tap. Munster, I'm thinking of the semi-final already. Leinster wanted to go quickly, try and break up the game and the defence. Lobbe just wouldn't let it go. So in the end, they spent time kicking the ball to a corner, but they go to a line-out where Leinster haven't looked like driving them over, and Toulon's defence remains well organised.
Can Cullen change that?
1 second, 1 second.
Virgil Bruni has come on to try and stop it for Toulon. Now it's looking like red on red in the semi-final. Not another red-blue crash. Another all-Ireland meeting in this competition. Cullen, as Leinster desperately look for something, they've got the driving line out going into the corner. It's a try! What a great effort it was from the pack. Jordy Murphy, supported by Cullen, and Cullen with the take. What a drive.
Great stuff from the impact men there. Cullen's take, Cronin's throw, and Murphy gets down there. Real dynamism there. Now it becomes very important for Madigan to strike this kick.
Well, we said this shouldn't be written out of the script. What a script it would be if Leinster come back. Leicester nearly did it in Clermont-Auvergne yesterday and ran out of time. Leinster certainly don't have very much time. And they don't have the extra 2 points.
So still 12 points behind with, what have we got, 10 or so minutes left. Any more penalties, they'll be going to the corner. They'll be looking for a repeat drive there. 9 minutes left. A glimmer, but the clock very much against Leinster.
Orioli. Cronin taken out of the game by that good quick pass. Claessens.
Over from the knock on.
And Gitter to Mamoz, and then it's Smith, and Smith bursts through the first tackle. When he's got the ball today, David Smith, he has looked really dangerous. Frisia playing a little bit of a showboating game there. Maybe not quite time for that just yet. There's Bastereau. As if you needed telling. Penalty Leinster, holding on, breakdown turning a bit. Look at Cullen there, so come on, let's get this back.
Clean out didn't take place.
Ever since Leo Cullen, the old man, came on.
And Madigan, key here is not to panic, not to rush it. Take a second or two because you've got to get distance. That's probably a better strike than the last one. As you say, showboating a little bit early. A bit more respect for Leinster than running around with the ball in one hand.
Too many penalties. Let's just try to tidy that up.
It was super work there for Leinster. Cullen involved.
It's okay, it's good.
Another good line out here. It is to Heaslip. Madigan. Redden. Heaslip again. Desperate cries there of come on from Leinster. Less than 7 minutes here.
No, not for me.
But a score now. It really does start as if it's looking to change around. Gordon Darcy. Brian O'Driscoll facing the European exit door. Well, those players on their feet? No, they're not. Driving right over the top. Penalty has to be. Referee wants a word.
Well, that comes close to the remit of dangerous play there.
Like, I'm not sure it's a penalty. I've just spoken to you about too many penalties. No. There's too many. He's came through. He's cleared the 9 out.
It's a yellow card. Showboating did start a little bit too early. And
it's interesting, Miles. Look, Madigan, who hasn't struck the ball with any great conviction out of hand, hands it over to Rob Kearney, who can really smash a screw kick. And look what Kearney, he's gone for it. And he's missed it.
Well, how important could that prove to be as Mitchell is given the chance to clear, and now it's a Leinster line out from a position which they will be cursing.
But you know, Madigan, had he kicked the ball, he wasn't going any further than that line out is anyway. The right thing for Kearney to go for it. Went for broke. There you can see the penalty off the feet. No problem at all for Barnes to give that.
And I agree with you. The other Barnes, Freesia, that was on the point of being dangerous, if not dangerous. So either way, he could have gone to the bin. He's out of the game for the rest of the game. But Leinster needed that line out in the corner. Here's Madigan again, trying that half break of his.
On the game line.
Redden. There's Jack McGrath. Clarson's calling frantically for support. Toulon have got the penalty. Just when it was starting to go Leinster's way at the breakdown, Toulon get it back where they've been for the majority of the match, to be fair.
Stephen Armitage has been gargantuan today. Leinster at their best when they really got their rhythm going, play quick ball. Owen Redden runs the tempo of a game and they become very difficult to stop. But you've seen that inside ball they love to play around the midfield, just running into brick walls, because everything Leinster has done has been off a platform that has been just too slow. And that man, more than anyone, has been the reason for slowing them down. He has been absolutely outstanding today. He has played like a red-blooded rugby international.
Let's go. What stopped?
And as we said at half-time, this has felt like an international. Not always the skill level that will satisfy the player or the coach, but so often the mistakes are caused by the intensity of the moment, of the environment. Redding goes. On comes Isaac Boss. Orioli to throw. Toulon looking to control the ball here. Bruni takes. The gentle waft of that semi-final place going all around the ground for Toulon. Can they turn it into something stronger? Should be. Thought it was all done when Mitchell went over.
Don't kill the ball.
Schwan Smith, another who's had a giant game. And Matt Gitto is going for the long drop goal. Can't quite do a Wilkinson that time, but it takes territory and time out of the game. We're hearing that the host broadcaster here in France has made Stephen Armitage the man of the match. which concurs with your comments.
Well, I think he's been outstanding, and I think Rousseau's done a brilliant job covering there. Sums up the extra power that they've had and the technique at the breakdown today.
Mikhail Kanti, 20 caps for Georgia. Mathieu Bastereau flows, hits Smith again. Is this the finish? Just a tap tackle, but with just 3 minutes left, Toulon looking for the coup de grace. Here's Guiteau again.
Second go!
And it's a penalty. Orioli, Joan Smith trying to get the offload in. Think he did it. How on earth did he to Orioli? Now it's been lost, but it's back for the penalty anyway.
And now the game is over. This kick goes over. Back to 15 points.
Okay, just got a penalty. It's nothing. Hold on. What stopped?
Game is up.
You couldn't argue. I mean, Toulon started the better team. Leinster defended and scrambled. They scrummed pretty well, but other than that, Toulon have been superior in every aspect of the game. And you look at this team, an awful lot of players were part of an island team that won the Six Nations, that went to Paris to win that tournament on the last day. They were good enough to beat France, but they have not been good enough to get near this global assortment of talent. Started off with 8 players from the Southern Hemisphere in their side. Galaxy of talent, and when you think people like Habana to come back, it is going to be a hard team to take their title from.
Saw the pictures there. I think Michael Claessens might have just pointed out that penalty to the referee. Not too subtle, doesn't have to be, I suppose. So Guiteau, starry team, isn't it? It is, in many ways, a World 15, World 23. And they are a scary thought when they're in this mood for the opposition. Toulon are heading for another Heineken Cup semi-final. And they are heading for Marseille too. And there is no doubt that they are a different proposition on French turf. And when Leinster analyse the competition, maybe it's their slip-up on home territory against Northampton, as well as Northampton played that day. That has to be said as well. But maybe that was the moment. But the majority of moments have gone Toulon's way today. There can be no argument about this. And even with the extra man, Leinster not quite able to make it tell here at the end. O'Driscoll, one final stay to Kirshner. He was demolished there. Well, bodies flying everywhere. Wayne Barnes might just say everybody was off their feet. I think he does. Castro Giovanni, that doesn't work. It doesn't matter. Relax, because it's over. One final piece of action for the referee. He will now just check. This will be it. The champions are through. It is the end of the European line for Leinster this season, and for Brian O'Driscoll for good. Toulon, too strong, as the might of French, of world rugby, was felt here today at the Stade Félix